Our guest on today's Plumbify podcast is Jamie Bartolotta from Bartolotta Plumbing, which is based in the south coast of New South Wales, if I'm right, Jamie.
God's country, they reckon.
God's country. Thanks for taking the time, mate, and
you're
coming
welcome.
on. I know you're busy, so I really appreciate it.
No, it's pumped. It's doing good things on here, actually. So it's awesome to be part of something that's growing. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty important. Like, listening to it and going through the last few episodes, it's been you've tackled a few good topics, actually. Like, with where you're going, it's good for young blokes as well, looking up as well. Like you, myself included. Like, you know, being a bit smaller business than your one, like I've only got myself and 2 employees, but it's also cool to hear different stories and how you achieve that. You know, there's a whole different set of tasks that come with 25 employees, isn't there? So,
there is, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Well, look, mate, how about we start with your journey into plumbing, and if we can wind it right back to you know, how you got into a plumbing apprenticeship, and then we'll sort of get to the point where you started your business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So way back when I was a little shit in high school, I sort of did a lot of work experience and did a lot of those trade-based courses, woodwork, metalwork, all that sort of stuff. And I went and did a work experience with a builder, and the builder got me just chipping up vinyl tiles that were glued down with just like a little hammer, and it like sat me in the corner and just made me go, he goes, yeah, just chip up those tiles over there, and then when you're done, come to me. And I was like a little bit got bored really quickly on that. So there was a plumber on site, and he had a shovel, and actually went outside, and I knew the bloke. It was a mate's dad, so I ended up starting to work with him, and I ended up doing 3 days when I was meant to be doing a work experience with as a chippy. I ended up doing it with a plumber, and then got into it through that, and just sort of looked into how I could get into plumbing, and did the Cert 2 course, I guess, or half did it when I went, I guess. And then, just got to year 12, and I realistically only stayed in school because there was a lot of my mates that went there and started to go to parties and, you know, doing the sort of 17-year-old, 18-year-old shit.
And a few vodka cruises.
Yeah, a few UDLs and stuff like that. So, just wasn't too keen on getting, like, I would have been probably ready for a job, but I was just more keen to hang out. And then Dad saddled me up one day, and we sent out about 50 resumes, and he strapped me in the car and forced me to go door knocking because there wasn't getting many bites. So I door knocked about a dozen plumbers, and from that got a bit of work experience, and got an apprenticeship. So, pretty grateful for that as well. Like, looking back now in the last sort of 12 years, it's given me a lot. It's, so I had a 4-year, and he was an older Italian sort of bloke, and learned a lot from him. Yeah. Don't know whether it was good or bad, but it's put me in a position where I am now. Put me in a position where I am now, and I had some really good employers after him, who I still get on really well with today, and going through a few things with my last employer, like with he's had a kid now, I've had a kid, so we really sort of like get on really well. Rings me up for advice or help, and I do the same. So again, building that network, and I sort of, while I was doing that, I did my Cert 4 in training and assessing, and I was working full time with him, and I was doing 1 day in at TAFE teaching, and grew from there. Did that for 2 years, so was doing that for 2 years, and then TAFE hit me up here in the Illawarra to do more days. So I ended up doing 30 hours in there, and then that was the kickstart I needed to be put in an uncomfortable position enough to sort of start your own business. Started my own business about 3.5 years ago. So and since grown to a crew of 3, including myself. and still doing the TAFE thing. So still doing a few classes in at TAFE as well, doing the licensing and doing like and a trade course as well, a Cert 3
So,
in gas one.
yeah. Oh, awesome. We'll get onto the business next, but I guess I want to ask you as well, like how do you fit in the TAFE with the business then? What do you do, a certain, 1 or 2 days a week, or is it all after hours, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so I do on a Monday I do like a stage 3, which is a gas up here in New South Wales. Um, and so gas and roofing course, and then I do a night course on that same Monday. So I move into
Yep.
the first year licensing, which is, like your gas and your drainage. And then on a Wednesday night, I'll do the stage 2 in the Cert 4 or second year Cert 4ers. So
Hmm.
I fit it around work. It's tough. Doing it, I do 3 classes. Monday, gas all day, trade like third years, and then into night Cert 4, which is the first year one, and
Hmm.
and then on a Wednesday as well, the stage 2, which is a stage 2 Cert 4, so second years in your licensing group. Um,
Hmm.
it's tough, but it's rewarding. Um, and a lot of the blokes that I actually teach, I know external through, different employers and have met them along the way and stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
but I get a lot out of it in the sense that the the boys have watched myself grow my business, and it's sort of like encouraging for them as well, to
Uh,
see. Like, you get a lot of responses. Like, I do a lot of stupid videos on Instagram, and I get bagged. My apprentice gets bagged at TAFE, or tradie gets bagged. Like, it's
yeah.
really rewarding. The boys actually sort of engage with you really well. Um, Obviously, money's good too, but it's nice to actually get that sense of fulfillment from another avenue. Obviously, you're growing your own business as well, but you're getting that other, like, you feel like you're giving
Hmm.
back as well, trying to pass on a bit of
Yeah.
knowledge. Especially with those licensing groups, there's a few boys in there as well that have, like, they'll stay back online, they'll ask you a few questions, and I try and help them as much as I possibly can into the areas that I've stuffed up in my business and lost money
Hmm.
and all that sort of stuff. But
So you're
yeah,
seeing some
so
good kids coming through, some good prospects, future business prospects that you're teaching there.
yeah, there's definitely some good dudes. There's obviously some other people that have come through as well, different characters that come through.
Other people.
But, but yeah, so it's good in the sense that, like, you get out what you put in, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, and there's some boys in there that really put in, and they engage with you well as also, and we're on similar wavelengths, like, and going through different similar stages in our lives, just having a
Hmm.
daughter, a little 7-month old, um, and they've also having kids as well, like that. So it's pretty cool to sort of have that, um, relatable with them as well, and you can actually
Yeah.
talk and have things in common. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's it.
I get a lot out of it.
So, but before I go on to this question, I want to ask you about obviously about the business, but uh, you said about you got a 7-month-old daughter. So how are you going with juggling everything you do with the business, TAFE, and
Yeah, it's late
and
nights.
for
It's
people
late
to
nights.
find
It's
that
late
balance or
nights.
what?
It's so tough. It's like you come home from work and you put a big day on the shovel or doing something, whatever, and then you come home and mum's in all sorts, because bub hasn't slept all day or whatever, and there's
Yeah.
no dinner, and
Yeah.
you're just thinking, oh, geez, I'm starving or whatever. So it's like you're wearing a few hats. You're wearing a few hats, but um, all in all, it's good. It's a good challenge, and you push yourself to the limits and to learn your different capabilities of what you can do personally. Um,
Yep.
and my wife's really supportive in everything that we're doing, and she can see that the benefit of what we're doing, and what we're trying to achieve together. Um, and like, business is it can be so rewarding. It can be like a massive anchor as well, but then it can also be so rewarding, and um,
Mm.
yeah, so she definitely sees that the positives in that. She's looking over my shoulder. So,
Oh, she okay. All right, all right. Do you ever get those
no.
days where you walk in the door and you're not even in 1 meter yet, and you've already got the baby in your hands because
Oh
the
yeah,
missus is like, I just can't deal with this anymore.
yeah. No, we have them. I actually had one of them last night. I was like, I've got to get all this work done last night. Sort of stay up a bit. And then I was sitting in the office and Bub's room sort of next door, and she was screaming the house down, and she's like, I can't deal. You've got to take over. So I was holding her a bit.
We've
So
all been there.
yeah,
Yeah, it's tough times, man. Tough times. Well,
it's
tell us
good,
about the
but
business then, man. It is good. It is good. It is rewarding too. Yeah, tell us about the business, Jamie. So you said you got three lads?
yeah. So include myself. So I've got a tradesman
Yep.
and a third year, and myself, obviously. Um,
Mhm.
we
What's the
sort of
work you
primar
do?
Yeah, we sort of primarily do maintenance. So we've got a few real estates that we do a fair bit of work for down here. We've got a tiny home company that sort of pump out a few tiny homes. They're pumping out roughly a tiny home a week at the moment, which is pretty good. So
Yep.
that's about a day's worth of work for the three of us a week. Um, and then I do a bit of industrial stuff as well. So I do a few concrete plants and a few pump places. So industrial pump places down here in the Illawarra. They supply pumps to like the coal mines.
Yep.
A few other different industrial areas that I do as well. Um, Pretty big down here. And then yeah, just
Hmm.
your general maintenance, a few bathroom renovations as well. So I've got my kitchen bathroom renovators license. So dabble in a few bathroom renovations from time to time. Um, and yeah, just like I said, just general Mr. and Mrs. Smith sort of jobs as well. So try and take on everything. Got a couple
Yep.
of houses on the go at the moment, new houses, big houses. So
Hmm.
fingers in a few pies at the moment. Definitely like any business owner, I could imagine you're also nervous about interest rates when
Mm.
you're doing primarily domestic work. So you sort of they got a tight grip on you as well. So it depends on what's going on there as to how much money I guess people are spending renovation wise and all that sort of stuff. So you
Yep.
definitely watch
Yep.
that market and sort of try, like I said, try and keep your fingers in a few pies to sort of diversify your work so that you're not you don't come into those sort of shortfalls with work wise.
Mm. That's good
Because
advice.
yeah, it's hard, especially like being such a small business. You want to obviously keep going. Like I'm not don't speak for your business, but a bigger business is able to take on a bit bigger work, bigger contracts potentially as well. Where
Mhm.
obviously I don't have that sort of manpower, but you sort of want to keep up with what's going on and try and diversify and make sure that you are still bringing in that steady income that the business needs each week. So keeping an eye on the figures as well.
Yeah. And so, what are the biggest challenges you got at the moment, business wise, and how you try and overcome them, I suppose. And the second part of my
Yeah.
question is, what's the landscape over there like in regards to, is it like a absolute shit fight for the right, for all, are you fighting for a small pool of people?
Yeah, we're still fighting for the same small pool of people, but yeah, I'm working on my business. That's probably my biggest plan and my biggest like area of growth moving forward. I need to work on my business before we can look to expand. There's definitely a few hurdles like any business that I'm looking to sort of try and iron out of mine before we
Hmm.
sort of move forward. One of that is obviously job management. So we
Yep.
we got a job management system, Arrowflow. So give them a plug as well, why not? But they're
3 months, hopefully.
yeah, why not? Um, but yeah, just trying to work on the business and try and make sure that the boys and I are communicating well. Um, and then that way, I know where jobs are at, or I might not have gone there. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you know what's happening at every job. Um, just recently, just have given them out all iPads so that we know, there's no lag in that. They're not storing all their images on their phones and all those bits and pieces that happen. And just communicating with where I want to go. I've always struggled with lack of direction for my business. I've never really set any goals. I've had obviously personal goals, but the business was always just that. It started off as a side hustle, and I never really got out of that frame of mind where it was always TAFE and teaching was going to be my primary source of income, and the business was going to be that sort of side hustle on the weekends or whatever. And then obviously grew to where we are now. I never really got stopped to take that time to look at it and reflect on the business and where it was going itself. Because obviously your business is number one, and without it, you can't grow personally. Like you can't knock down and rebuild your house if your business is doing shit house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest challenges, and that's where I'm working on at the moment. I've got a business coach where setting goals and stuff is just not really my forte. Let's go out, let's get the work done, let's get in there and
Mm-hmm.
do it, and then worry about all that shit later on. Where
Yeah.
now it's coming to that front and going, what are you doing? How are you going to achieve what you want to achieve? How are you going to knock down and rebuild your house?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you've got to look at the business, what it's doing before you can do that. So working on my business is my biggest area of growth. You got me? Yeah.
Uh, I got you now. Yeah,
You
I
got me,
heard you
Matt?
say working on your business is your
Yeah,
biggest
yeah.
area of growth.
Yeah, working on my business is my biggest area of growth on where I want to go in the future. So it's something that needs work, obviously, as any business does. You need to work on the business and give it just as much time as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, then that way you can grow and put on more manpower, obviously, but you've got to put those processes in before you can actually do that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I want to work on the business and planning to do that. So we can grow and you know do
Yep.
similar things to you. Like you're employing a lot of people, and you've got personal growth and business growth. It's just going gangbusters at the moment, so it's good.
Thanks. Well, I actually, I mean, you did just go through a bunch of things then, but if you could summarize, 3 or 4 lessons you've learned over, since 2019 to now for any young fellas, could you put, 3 or 4 things together that you've found that you wish you knew when you started, but now you've learned the hard way sort of thing? I know one, you touched on is the systems working on the
Yeah,
business. Or anything else you can think that comes to mind?
yeah, just making sure you're consistent. You're consistent amongst pricing, simple things. Um, you're consistent with your effort that you put in. You're consistent with taking rest as well. You know what I mean? Like there's a few times towards the end of last year and start of this year, sort of like burning out a little bit. Um, and you find that you lack motivation. So,
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever it takes, even a simple thing like going for a run or doing something like that or exercise or, a long weekend here or there, to boost, like to keep that motivation in the business because the business requires so much effort. It's like, you
It
imagine,
does.
what you put in, the effort you put in for your girlfriend, you've got to like double, triple it, whatever to put into that business, like needs so much
Yep.
more. So, um, putting effort and motivation into your business is like massive,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. So,
That's
yeah,
good. Good.
it's hard, but good.
Yep. No, definitely. Um, Now we did touch on it, but I wanted to ask you, like, balancing the family and business.
Hmm.
How is that at the moment? Do you have any tips for budding business owners that, might be, you're 7 months in now, that might
Yeah.
be wanting to have a business, but at the same time know their missus is, you know, breathing down their neck to have a kid as they do.
Yeah,
To
it's
find that balance, and how
oh
have you found it?
yeah, it's a challenge to say the least, as you're well aware. Um, it's again something you've got to work on. And most people, um, babies and mums are sort of like between that 4:30 till 6:30 mark. It's just go time. It's all hands on deck sort of thing. Like it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but your feeding, your bathing, your bedding, you've got everything going on. So just making sure that I'm home as much as I possibly can be for that time to be supportive there. Um, and then doing little things on the weekend, just going for a family walk sort of thing.
Mhm.
Most Sundays we'll just get up and go for a walk or something little like that. Like it doesn't need
Yeah.
much, but you need to just make sure that you do put that time in that's required. You want to put that time in and make sure that you are making time for the family. Like
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
want to make sure that if it's your kids are older, you're picking them up from school or something. Like I
Yep.
quite often will come home, do bed, bath, and all that sort of stuff, and dinner with the missus, and then they all go to bed, and then I'll go back to work. So,
Hmm.
working around that sort of time frame, and I
Yep.
found it's worked. But there's obviously other times, there's times you might get a long weekend, and you've got to take the good with the bad, because there's one weekend you'll have a long weekend, the next weekend you'll have to work through. So, it
Hmm.
can't always be sunshines and rainbows, but
Yep.
you
Yep.
got to take the good with the bad. So, and just balancing it. So, like I said, taking an hour is a small amount of time over the course of 7 days. You
Hmm.
know, you can make that up
Definitely.
somewhere else. So, an hour to your wife and your daughter or your son is a massive amount of time.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
just scheduling
Yeah.
that in is important.
Sounds like you're setting like some distinct boundaries. Like that's what I've learned to do as well now. Is like
Yeah, hard, but
just
it's
saying
so
like,
hard.
I don't get home after 4:30, and then other, like families first in that regard, and whatever it else is I'm sure can wait. Like
Yeah.
just obviously you got outlying moments, but just trying to set boundaries around some certain life
Yeah,
things.
simple things like having dinner together, like massive, you know what I mean? So
Mm,
like, it's not being on the phone, all that sort of stuff. It definitely gets hard because the phone is so demanding. And you
mm,
look at it and it does provide you with everything you've got, all the food you're eating, it provides you with so much. But
hmm.
it's a massive hindrance as well. So
And you're probably sitting there all the time thinking about what's the next viral video I can make when
I
you're on the
wish,
phone.
I wish. I look
That
at
last
them and
one was good though,
I just
where they
look at
threw
like,
you in the.
oh yeah, who hasn't wanted to throw their boss in the water, but fair
Oh, that was
dinkum.
a good one, man. That was a good one.
Yeah. No, I just literally like, as funny as they are, I just literally look at like, who can I put shit on today? Like, if it's me, it's me. If it's the boys, it's the boys. I got one on the
Yeah.
weekend. I got a story up on the weekend where I went for did like a 5K fun run with my tradesman, and the lady, the photographer, got a picture of me beating him, and I looked like I was cruising, and he was like in struggle street. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I've got you there.
Oh
I
yeah.
put
Yeah.
it up, and then he was like
It
blowing
needs to
up
go
because
up.
yeah, all his mates follow me, and
Yeah.
it looked like he was losing, so they were all into him, and he's like messaging me, I let you win, all this sort of shit, and I was just like, the picture says 1,000 words, mate. You don't need to say anything else. They're just putting shit on each other, and it's
Very
just
good.
having a good laugh because you bloody spend more time with these blokes than you do your missus, so you need to make sure
Mm.
that you have good relationships with them. So
100%. 100%.
yeah,
Well, for a change up, we were I think we were chatting on Instagram a little bit,
yeah,
a while back, and you were talking about how New South Wales are cracking down on gas at the moment.
yeah,
Can you
massive.
elaborate on that a bit?
Just some like there's the unwritten rule. Like a lot of people don't evolve with the standards. Um, I get a lot of people messaging me around just the Illawarra, like a lot of lads that I know, and quite often they'll ask for like a gas sizing table or something. Like I've got my standards like on my desk right next to me, so
Hmm.
being in and out of them all the time. So they need to evolve, like, and it's not a platform that's really readily available for Australian standards. Like, people have to fork out. Like, if you were to go and get some standards now, you got to go through what is it, SI Global or
SAI
something,
Global. Yeah. Yeah.
and you got to spend out like your week's wage to go out and bloody buy a set of standards. Like, I know you need them. But like, how many blokes are
Mm.
going to go out and do that? Like, there needs to be some sort of app or platform, like a subscription, for example,
Yeah.
that needs to be it needs to be available to everyone. So then that way, I could put it on my boys on their iPads. So they've got that app
Yeah.
on their iPads and they know the standards. Um, and with saying that, like a lot of boys are using standards from 1980 or 1999.
Mm, mm,
So they're sizing off that same sizing table. So undersizing and stuff like that, which is obviously changed up a fair bit. So,
mm,
now they're cracking down. I know of a few blokes around here that have been asked to change or upsize their sizing table. They're not providing enough gas. They're gone with the old rules of 3/4 main lines and 1/2 inch branches and things like
mm.
that. So
And
definitely just
are they
evolving.
cracking down on pecs as well?
Yeah, well, I think that's an Australian standard thing. So like Australia wide, they're cracking down. They're pushing PEX out, I guess. Like they're asking for reversion fittings. They're asking for those excess flow valves now at the meters. And a lot of guys, if you're in your own bubble and you're just plumbing for a builder or something, they don't
Yeah.
really, you don't really need to know, I guess, or you need to know, but you don't really keep up with it.
Mm,
Um, so, like I said, I think if there was a more readily accessible way, like I said, a subscription sort of app or something like a Netflix or whatever, and then that way we will be able to provide that to our employees, for example. So
mm.
Plumbify would be able to subscribe and have 300 million, I think you've got employees. 300,000 employees and 300,000 subscriptions. So, you know what I mean? and then
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
and then you're providing it, and then there's like, if for example, if you rock up on site and you go, oh, the spacings are off on your clips, why aren't they correct? You've got access to the standards. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So you can
Yeah, man.
hopefully, I think that'll achieve a couple of things. It'll achieve knowledge within the workforce, but it'll actually iron out a lot of the problems that are
Mm.
happening. So yeah,
Yeah, the
so yeah,
standards
cracking.
is a big thing, isn't it? Like that I think that's Australia wide. That's one of the biggest issues we've got over here. The master plumbers are always cracking on
Mm.
about is just the lack, just the whole environment about how we're paying like $300 or $400 for this standard that just keeps getting
Yeah, and
updated
like,
all the time, and it's like it's just the whole model doesn't work.
no, and that's the thing. Like, if we had a website or an app that was a subscribable app, you think about how much more money they would make if it was a subscribable app,
Mm,
because you as the business owner can write it off. You're paying for it straight away, but you also guarantee that all your employees have that same app,
mm,
and they have access to it. It's a tool that
yep.
tells us the answer. They
Hmm.
literally tell us the answer to what they want.
Yep.
So if you
Yep.
have a question in what they want, you look it up. Like anything, you
Yeah.
look it up on Google, you look it up on whatever. You think about all the things that the boys are looking up at lunchtime, like, Bartolotta plumbing funny videos and shit like that at lunchtime. Like, imagine if they were actually looking up something that was educational, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
Not just
yeah.
some random on the South Coast getting thrown in a pond.
Not just cat videos and yeah, Bart a lot of
Yeah.
plumbing. Yeah, throwing pond videos. Yeah, exactly.
So like it's actually educational and they've got that tool there. Like it'd be so much better. But SI
Hmm.
Global and SAI Global like need to do something about that, like evolve. Everyone's got
Yeah.
most plumbing companies have some sort of job management app, and most of them are giving out iPads these days to better not control their workforce, but better manage their workforce. And it would be a massive tool and a massive asset to every business if that was available.
Yep. Yeah, agree.
So,
Agree. Uh, now, I wanted to ask you, like, get outside of work a bit and ask you what you got up to on
mm,
the weekends and shit. But it said, it already says it on your website. So I sort of wanted to, I want to ask you what you do outside of work to, keep yourself busy. But I also wanted to sort of look at the one of the comments you put on there. It's, I love spending time with my wife, which I wanted to know if surely that was put on there for brownie points.
yeah, for sure. Where was
She
that?
looking on
That
it?
must have been deep.
That's on your website. Don't act like you don't know what's on there.
Yeah, no, we do spend a bit of time. So like, we try my best, but most Saturdays I try and we'll go and do something, go for a run or gym class or something like that together, and
Mhm.
try and offload bub to one of the grandmas. They're bloody desperate to
Oh
see
yeah.
us. So they
Yeah.
fight over who sees us, so it's quite easy to get a babysitter.
Hmm.
So yeah, so just try and do that, and then the walk on a Sunday or something like that, and yeah, just try and
So you surf a bit?
I try, I try to surf.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I do a little bit, not well, but it's good to actually clear your head surfing.
Mm.
I find,
Hmm.
you can't take your phone out there unless you want to, I guess, but
Mm.
good excuse to leave the phone in the car and get away from that
Yep.
technology for a little bit and sort of disconnect for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just try and do active things. Get out, go camping. The other weekend we went down the coast. Just try and do things as a family now, I guess. So
Hmm.
you're just trying to show a good lifestyle. Like went had Bub's first swimming lessons on the weekend. That was pretty cool. It was pretty
Yep.
fun proud dad moment until she decided to cry when I dunked her. But anyway, so
Gotta do that.
yeah,
That's always, you feel like so unsure, don't you, when you first put them under, and it's just like it doesn't feel right, but
yeah, and the
they make you
instructors
do it.
there.
So
The instructor's there going, oh, you don't have to put her under. And I'm like, no, no, she's tough as. Yeah, dunk her under. And then she comes up and cries. You're just like, oh, no, I think I stuffed up here. Mum's there looking at me in a disapproving look. So,
oh, so
but
good.
but yeah, like just fun things like that. Like you have to do that to break up the week, and
Mm. Hmm.
because working for yourself can be pretty full on, but doing that sort of stuff and having the ability to do all that sort of stuff is awesome, and you know that the business is providing because you can do
Yep.
that sort of stuff, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's so important to just keep that fitness, man, just for a mental, like, mental
yeah,
standpoint. Is like if I'm nowhere on the fitness, which happens quite regularly, I'm just nowhere mentally as well. I
oh,
need that outlet, that 1 hour outlet a day. Otherwise, I'm just a prick.
I swear sometimes, but you like go into the week and you're like, yeah, done. I'm gonna go for run every day. I'm gonna go to the gym every day, and then by like Wednesday or Thursday, you're just like it's like you're just so busy and you're just like, oh my God, I'm working so much. And then you're just like, stuff it. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll just get the dad bod. It'll be right. She's married to me, got a kid. She's not going anywhere. I hope.
Oh, mate, what about? Obviously, I have to ask. Like, you got any funny plumbing stories, man, or situations you found yourself in over the time? Like, you must have a good pub story or something that you tell
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I have a
Anything that
few,
comes to mind?
yeah, I got a couple. There's a few funny times we've been stitched up a few funny times. Like just, we got there was one time we were out in Port Kembla out here where the big harbour is sort of thing, and we're working. One of the boys sort of like they were drilling um footings or piers or something, drilled through a bloody 6-inch fire in a 4-inch water. And we worked around the clock and just ate shit. And for dinner that night we got like the big family boxes, and it was a bit of a competition with us. And the boys got three of us, we just got a family box each and see who could like destroy it. I
Yeah.
had like I had like three burgers, and I was hurled over in the corner for about 2 hours. I just went green. I just couldn't move. Boss is there just
Yeah.
yelling, going like, "Come on, we got to get to work!" And I'm just like, "Dude, I'm not moving." I sat there for like 2 hours, just hurled over. I just like we'd got these like main water lines down. They're like contemplating shutting down this section of the port, and I'm just like, I
Oh,
can't move. So you have a couple of good times like that. Just there's
surely you
so
would have
many you
caused the
don't even.
block drain yourself after that, wouldn't you?
Wasn't
With
far
with
off,
what
eh?
came out after that.
Oh, I wasn't far off, bloody Maccas. But there's so many that come like you have, but you just like you
Oh, no,
you
it's hard to remember.
have all these
Mm.
random moments, don't you? You just like funny times along the way, and that
Yeah.
one that even like that when I got thrown in the pond the other day, like broke my finger doing it, like because it was just all real shallow and rocks, and the boys were
Did you?
piss. Yeah, the boys were pissing themselves, and I'm just sitting there, just like finger went black, and I was like, "Stuff yous, I'm out of here." And I was like, no
Oh,
one was doing any work; they were just pissing themselves, rolling around. So
oh,
you get funny moments like that all the time, like.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that builds a good culture as well, especially if they can put shit on the boss. I think they can makes
hundred
it a bit better
percent,
for them as well.
hundred
You know.
percent. Uh, any I just thought of this the other day because I was going through what I need to buy. You got any last minute tax time purchases you doing this year?
Nah, not the oh. I went and bought a little one of those Milwaukee cameras. You know those little Milwaukee cameras.
Yeah,
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 those little ones. I'm filthy on them, but because apparently over in the States, you know how like if you stick it up in a wall cavity and you can
yeah.
like trying to drive the bloody thing, you can't get it around. In
Mm.
the States, there's a thing, and like the head of it is like actually you can maneuver the head of it.
Ah,
And I'm
really?
like, but it's only
We don't have it
available in
here
the
though.
States. No,
Ah, yeah, right. That would be
yeah,
so
so
handy, eh?
like
Like a
even
little
like
robotic end, like
yeah, like a little snake thing. So like if you're looking up like a water leak in a cavity wall or like a shower
mm,
breacher or something like that, you can actually maneuver
hmm
the head instead of trying to
mm.
wrestle this 3 meter anaconda thing that's going on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, sick. I
but
got
yeah, no,
nothing else.
nah, nothing this year.
No big
I think I've spent it.
machinery buys.
Bought enough this year. Bought enough this year. There's a bloody truck out the front that's cost me a fortune, so I'm not doing that. No
All
more
right,
this
all
year.
right.
What about
Well, I'll
you? What
finish
are
you
you
off,
buying?
mate. Um, oh, I'm always buying. I bought two Peugeot vans because you can't get anything else.
Yeah,
So actually, I've got a funny story with that. So I bought two Peugeots. One was meant to get delivered on Wednesday. That Peugeot Expert they're called because usually I'd have high aces, but like it's about a year wait.
yeah,
So I found a Peugeot. So I bought one, which is the long. They call it the long. It's just the same size as a high ace, normal high ace. And this other one I bought is like called a City, which is like super basic, and it's like 300 mil shorter at the back, so it's a little stubby. It's like halfway
yeah,
between a high ace and like a caddy van,
yeah,
basically. So I, as part of the deal, I needed a tow bar. Like you know how you need them you need them a certain
yeah,
spec, like so they can work. There's a tow bar, roof racks, and a cargo barrier, basically, and shelving.
sweet dude.
So I tried to get the tow bar aftermarket, but they didn't want it. They didn't want to know about it. So because I looked at the tow bar price from Peugeot and it was like ridiculous. So I thought, oh, surely I can get it cheaper somewhere else where I usually get tow bars. They said, nah, mate, just go to Peugeot. So anyway, long story short, it's currently been in limp mode for 5 days. This brand new van, because what they're going to do is they're going to put apparently, I don't know, I feel like they're bullshitting me, but they got to when obviously because it's got reverse sensors. When they put the tow bar on and they
Yeah,
wire it up, it plays with the reverse sensors. So what they're going to do is they're going to plug the laptop into the car, as you do with every car these days, and they send a signal to Peugeot to say, "Oh, we're putting a tow bar on this car," and then Peugeot is meant to send a signal back on their server to the car to just like reprogram the ECU, and then happy days. It's meant to take 10 minutes, but apparently the Peugeot France server has been down for a week. So the car is literally stuck in limp mode in the Peugeot thing, getting a Peugeot genuine bumper tow bar put on a Peugeot by Peugeot. And I'm like, I was meant to get it last Wednesday. It's still sitting there,
so you're
half
keen to
pulled
buy another
apart.
Peugeot then, by the
No,
sounds of it.
unfortunately, I've got another one coming as well. But
How good?
mate, fucking hell, it's always something with these. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
there's
Like,
always something. Hey, there's always like something needs suspension, like something needs upgrading. It's just like it's forever. You're forever buying
yeah.
something. Hey, can I
So
ask you
that's
a
my two
question?
purchases. Yeah, 100%.
So, obviously, being a bit smaller business than yourself, one thing that I learn, and I guess is an area of growth for my business, is people management,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing I'm learning. How do you go about people managing or job managing? Because obviously, you'd have a few
Mm-hmm.
people that are sort of like with you as a team, as like a leadership team, I guess you could call
Yep.
it. How do you
Yep.
go about doing that and like holding, you know, because you're obviously not the face, or you're the face of the company, but you're behind the scenes, and then you've got the
Mm.
employees going out there. How do you manage all that?
Mm. Yeah, so that's a good question. So I think I've learned a lot in the last 3 years, basically
Mm,
from doing like business courses and like hanging out with people who are way more advanced than me. And I think I've learned that my management style is I definitely don't like to micromanage. I'd
yeah.
rather just I'd rather just not even have a business than micromanage. So that's just totally not up my alley. So I guess
Mm,
my like philosophy, if you were going to say, would be to give people, give someone an opportunity, give them everything they need to be successful, and then just get out their way. essentially.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy in regards to the management style is I just like to give people what they need, make sure I facilitate their needs in a way, but it's just get out their way, let them own it, their space, let them be successful in their own right.
Yeah.
That's been big. But I'd say, one of the keys is obviously you just need to get a key group of 3 or 4 or 5 people that you really look after, that you feel are going to be like long-term people within the business.
Yeah.
And, give them opportunities. Like I said, give them everything they need. And you'll be surprised at how much people will step up when you give them an opportunity. So now I've got Luke, who's my ops manager. He's only 24. He's basically more or less running the business for me. But I mean, he's built different. But yeah, I actually gave Luke my office on the weekend, so I don't even have an office here anymore. So it's a bit of a weird sort of dynamic. Today is the first day. This is usually my office that I'm sitting in now, but Luke's had to get out of here for me. But I suppose, yeah, I've got a key group of people now that have their own roles and they own those roles. And I've been really, really focused on trying to build myself out. I'm not saying I don't want to be around or I want to sell it or anything like that. It's just that I'm always thinking about like, do I need to do this task anymore? Who can do this task? And then I'm like, I'm basically just all day, every day. I'm what's that word? It's escaped me. Like giving it to other people, offloading my tasks.
Yeah.
Delegating.
Delegating, that's one. Yep.
All I think about every day, how can I delegate this? How can I delegate that? How can I get this group of things I fucking hate doing or whatever and make it a job title for someone and give that to someone. And I'll tell you one other thing I would say has been massive is offshoring. We have three girls in the Philippines full time now. That's been a game changer.
And what do they do for you?
So the original one, Krisha, she who's still around. She's the first one we had. She does like all the systems and process. Like basically, we have a lot of clients that have, like their own back end portals and systems that we have to run for them and basically do their admin for them.
Yep.
And that's not a role that you really want to pay someone like 60 or 70 grand a year in Adelaide to do because you're literally not getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
And you're doing your clients'
work
admin for them essentially. Yep. So she does all of that. She does all our client portal bookings and logins and, job sort of logging into jobs, logging out of jobs, uploading invoices. She does a lot of our invoicing as well. All those like repetitive tasks that you don't really want someone to be doing, in Sydney or in Adelaide. The second one is we have a full-time media creator now, like content editor in the Philippines. And we're just going through the process now to put on another Krisha and with also a bit of a background in accounts as well, we're hoping. So I'll say that's something to really look into. That's really powerful.
Right. Yeah, right.
And you'd be surprised at how, I'll just say, you'd be surprised at how like they're so easy to work with. Honestly, they're just so polite. They're so like, they just have a different, they don't have that chip on the shoulder like you get a lot with a lot of people over here. They're just happy to be at work. They love to be of service. That's like their culture.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned like, I know I'm flipping it on you a bit like here, but I'm just sort of like intrigued as well because it's like I said, like you're obviously a bit bigger and it's like, I have sort of goals to get not to like that sort of size, that's hectic, but like, obviously grow the business. So like a young dude like me who's got a smaller business, what sort of business courses have you done and would you recommend, you reckon? Like,
so I've done a year with a fella called Michael Johnson over here. He does a course called Business Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's like a group course. And it's like 3 days a month in person. So it's 3 days a quarter in person. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, once a quarter in the Hilton in Adelaide. Yeah. And you all get together. It's like a bit of a community. I suppose that was a big game changer for me. I've sort of moved on to other things now that I just got to a certain point where I've had to spend that money on bringing certain people in the business that are going to fix business specific problems for me now. Not,
Yeah.
this is more of a big overview of a lot of things,
It's still
and a
good
lot
to
of it's
do
based on
those things.
mindset.
It's still good to do those things so that you know the processes that are actually happening within your business, so that if there is an
Mm,
area of shortfall, I guess it depends that what happens. Like you can swoop in and sort of fix up that little problem, and then, like you're saying,
mm,
delegate it to someone else before. But like you fixed that problem before you palmed it off. But yeah, it's just sort of like wanting to learn. Like it's obviously there's so much to learn in business, and like only being 3.5 years old, I guess you could say, it's like you're still a young pup, and
mm,
there's definitely like there's a few awesome companies that are around this area that and a good network. Like obviously you're sort of like there's a massive network on social media as well. But I've got a couple really good guys that are around here that I talk to that are like again a bit bigger than myself and learning. Like I said, I want to learn. You can never stop learning. The moment you stop learning, you're sort of like, so
mm.
you've always got to constantly evolve, constantly move forward or learn, always learning. So I want to learn like more about business so that that you can sort of
Yeah,
keep going, I
absolutely.
guess.
Absolutely. And
So
the other thing is, like, there's been a big learning for me is like, a lot of things I learn now is like from my network of people that I have,
yeah,
like, but one big piece of advice I always give to people is like, you'll be surprised at who will help you if you just ask. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I've got some people who, give me business advice, like, unsolicited business advice
yeah.
just from experience. Like, one of my friends, Wendy, she's the CEO of like three different like recruitment agencies over here. She's like a woman, built it all by herself from nothing. She grew up in housing trust. Now she's got over 300 employees,
Holy
and
shit.
like she's busy, man, as hell. Like, but I started I built a bit of a relationship with her, and that's one of the biggest learnings is people I've found love to help other people who they can tell are really just fucking trying their hardest.
Yeah, and
So
if you're
don't be afraid to
engaged in
ask.
someone, if you're engaged with someone, like if you're like you said, if you're like willing to sort of like pick up the phone, have a conversation, like people will help you. Like, and that's
Mm,
what, yeah, I've definitely learned that. It's just there's so much, and you admire. Like I admire so many people for what they've done. Like you're saying, like come from nothing to get to where they are.
mm,
There's one
mm.
bloke down here. He always tells me the story. Like he's a really, really good dude. But a lot of people find him quite arrogant. And he always tells me the story about how him and his wife, like they literally started a plumbing business and they had like 5 grand in the bank. And
Yeah.
he went out and bought a camera, spent all
Yep.
their money, their whole savings on a camera. And now
Yeah.
he's got like he literally just bought like a $5 million farm down the coast.
Oh wow.
And then he's just got like a workshop. Like he's just done so well. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like come from like nothing, and then he's just like spend their last dime, like something that like I would have honestly a panic attack about doing. But I guess it takes some like massive risks to get massive reward.
It
Um,
does.
and yeah, it's
Yep.
just like I said, learning so much about that is just insane. So
Mm.
learning from
No,
bigger
but
businesses is like awesome.
yeah, no, well, you're on the right track, man, and that is the other thing is, well, and I wanted to ask you as well, was like, what are your future ambitions for the business?
Um, my future ambition. So Um, before my biggest goal is to sort of knock down and rebuild our house where we are. So we're in a really good location. I love where we live. And yeah, really happy here. But the business is also run from our house. So running the office
Yeah,
from a spare room, got like the garage, half the garage is taken up as a shed, there's gear, there's
yeah,
tools,
yeah,
there's all that sort of stuff. But so one of the goals within the business is to get business space, and potentially I'd like to do everything I possibly could to avoid renting, and buy that space. Um, so I'm sort of trying to work towards that so that then we can definitely achieve like our own goals. So yeah, so probably getting a business space is one of the goals that I would like to get to. And I've got a really good, like my two employees are really, really good. And I can sort of see them and grow them into, I guess, that leadership sort of group, or those sort of two that mentor others, and sort of look at potentially putting on a couple more apprentices with the work. And I've got a few things in the pipeline with different industrial companies around the Illawarra at the moment, that are sort of happening in the next couple of weeks, which is pretty exciting. So hopefully I can get that growth going. But like I said, I want to work on the business before we do expand, because getting those processes
Yep.
in place now, and pricing and all those other little things, like, working out your job management systems and making sure that you know the ins and outs of all that sort of stuff, are definitely going to help us
Mm.
before we actually do that sort of growth, I guess, and start going for it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
iron out all those
Yeah, wicked.
creases. Yeah, so that's where I
Awesome,
sort of
man.
hopefully I can take it. So a few things I've got to tick off, but we'll get there. We'll work hard.
Yep.
We'll get
Yeah, if
there.
you ever need any advice, mate, you can. I'm always
No,
here,
awesome.
mate. You got my number now,
Awesome.
so always happy to help.
Thank you.
Now, I've got some fucking stupid questions to finish off with. Just some.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
got
Let's
some
do it.
rapid fire questions I want to do, but then I got some like pick. You got to pick an answer. We'll get to that. Anyway, we'll start off. Brand of cordless tools you use.
Red.
Favorite brand of plumbing specific tools.
Oh, plumbing specific tools. Rigid.
Press tool you use.
I don't want to say it, but Rothy.
Rothy. Copper or PEX.
Um, it depends the application, but predominantly PEX at the moment with what we're doing.
What brand PEX do you use?
There's a reason I use this brand, and there's
Oh,
not going
here
to
we
be.
go.
I don't like it. So I prefer Rehow, but in the application that we're doing, in where like most of our business is, we need the smaller fittings, so we use Ozpex. Still
Love
works.
Ozpex.
Do
Fuck it. I
ya?
reckon yeah, it's the best because it adapts to everything so easily.
It does. It does
No,
adapt
it's
to
nothing
everything, but
against
the
Ozpex. I reckon it's
fittings,
awesome.
the fittings are the smallest fittings you can buy, and
Mm,
they work really well on our tiny homes that we do. So
okay.
that's the reason.
What accounting software do you use?
Zero.
For a sewer blockage, Hydrojet or cable machine?
Nah, Jetta for sure.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you what job management software you use, but you've already answered an
Yeah,
Arrowflow.
Arrowflow. Yeah. So, yeah,
All right. Well, I'll finish off with these situational questions. All
yeah.
right. It's like a this or that arrangement.
Righto,
So
let's go.
I gotta read these because they're all right. So you got an old retired handyman customer looking over your shoulder the whole day, or you have to drink a glass of water given to you by an old cat lady tenant.
Oh, I'll take the old dude breathing down my neck any day of the week.
Oh.
Because quite often my
Oh.
customers, they're Italian, and if you ask them for a coffee and a bit of cake, they'll sort of generally walk away because they'll go, "I'll make it for you." Oh, no way! I'm taking the cup. What is it? Cup of cat piss from the lady? No
No,
way.
you got to just drink the water out of the glass from an old cat lady tenant. You know
As
where they
if.
pour it in and you think, oh,
Yeah,
I don't know if I
that's
want to
got their
drink it.
dentures in there. That's their denture water tea. No way! I'm taking that. She's mixed it up.
Uh, all
Far out.
right.
No
You have to
way.
wholeheartedly recommend one from your heart.
Righto.
Chromagen heat pump or Mondello tapware.
Oh. You know what? I didn't even literally it was only this year that I came across chromogen heat pumps, and I went, oh. Anyway, let's go the Mondello because they're everywhere, and you
Oh
just
shit! All right, you had to pick
no
one.
way. I had
Would
to.
you rather install? Would you rather install an IKEA wall hung vanity or drink a cup of juice from a grease trap?
Oh, these are terrible answers. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with IKEA Fiddler.
Yeah, surely.
Oh, you have to.
Do
The
you go
grease is
the
horrible.
Do you go the 60 mil offset pan collar or jackhammer up the floor and move the waste?
Jackhammer the floor.
What if it's a Friday?
You still
Still
jackhammer the
jackhammer.
floor. Because you actually, you know what? I actually did a thing, and I watched the Chroma thing the other day, and their orbital pan connectors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did this literally a video diagram, and it was awesome. It was through TAFE, but it was sick. They actually took like a 76 mil ball, and it actually has to be able to flow through
Oh yeah.
through whatever it is quite easily, right?
Mhm.
And on those pan connectors, they might flow because of the angle. You might be able to get them when they're just like out, like where they're not installed. You install that thing, you put the pan into it to those 60 mil pan. You can't get that sort of. So if someone's laying a big bit of cable, it's not getting through.
All right. You have to choose one of these to warranty for 10 years. And if you have no issues, you get $1 million. All right.
This.
You have to, and this is in a five bathroom mansion. You got to install polybute shark bite, or you got to install 20 Estillo mixers with the kinked flexies. And you get $1 million after 10 years.
Oh, surely you're not going the King Flexies, because that's
but how can you go the shark bite as well?
For sure. You
Fine, you
can't go either. These are like, you're set up to fail with these. You're set up to fail with both of these. Oh, just go shark bite in the wall for sure. Let's do it.
All right.
Cowboy hat on, go for it. The Cubra's on.
There's a bloke in Reese trying to get unsolicited advice and pick up the materials to run some gas pipe work to his new Barbie. Do you help him or not?
Absolutely not. I just try and just walk away. They full look at you and they ask for advice. Nah, I'm out. Exactly right, for sure.
All right. Some small builder you've never heard of rings up on a Friday arvo wanting you to unblock a drain on a new build he's done, stating he doesn't use his plumber anymore, but is promising you future work if you do it for him. Do you help?
I'm away down the coast, man. I'd love to, but it's a sticky one. The wife's here. I can't do it, man. I'm sorry. Next time I'd love to.
Good answer. All right, last one. Lady rings up on a Saturday wanting a price on her ensuite reno, stating it's a simple job and it shouldn't take any more than a day's work. Do you go out and give her a quote, or do you let that one go through to the keeper?
Yeah, there's Adam Gilchrist who's catching that every single day of the week there. He's a busy boy, old Gilly. He's a busy boy.
Hey, Jamie, you're a legend, mate. Thanks so much for joining us on the potty. I know you're busy, man, and
thank you.
I really do appreciate it, mate.
Thank you so much, mate. All good.
Thanks for tuning in to another Plumbify podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and all the usual podcast platforms.